My parents liked it when things were prim. It was the consequence of being branded dirty by people who only bathed weekly and washed themselves with the same wet rags they accused us of wishing we had. It was only recently when I learned how many of mum and dad's critics actually wash their own legs and feet. They never beat me till I bled, only till I cried or stopped crying. You see, mum couldn't bear to see a sea of bleach blonde blue eyes seeing my bruises from the tinted windows of their husbands' Range Rovers between the gongs of the school church bells. Such a sight would shatter the veil that she had cultivated from the bragging rights of daily dry cleaning. The veil that gave the impression we could afford the Center Park summers which we're still too broke to buy now. But they still called us savages behind our backs. No matter mum's finery or dad's ability to articulate, perhaps they saw through our facade, perhaps it never mattered in the first place. My parents had callous toes that tread atop an endless tightrope of personality split by nationality. On a whim, straight lines of Ghanaian kente could cross over into poorly drawn Union Jacks, always ordered even when all was chaos. They taught me a weird kind of perseverance. Neither had the instructions to build me and barely enough experience to piece me back together. I've only gotten used to being somewhat broken now. I think we all have. My parents fucked. They fucked a lot. And they were fucking good at it too. They were even better at keeping me from hearing anything. I can trace my TV addiction to replayed Power Rangers videotapes. I can't remember if I heard any creaking bread springs over the splattered sounds of Ivan Ooze getting his nutsack kicked in, but maybe that's a testament to how well it worked. My parents were chill. Dad sometimes a bit too much, most times way too little. Raised to be a man by overgrown toddlers, at a time too early to know their way was toxic, conditioned to think he was still on the auction block selling himself, his body cuts of meat for butchers in riot gear. Only in a twist as violent as his moods, the sirloin, the chuck, the flank, and the short rib were all tainted with the promises that he couldn't provide. And unfortunately, the blight spread and caught up with him just as he was getting better. My parents taught me stoicism. Neither learned the Latin, but dreamt I one day could. To silence the sneers of mayonnaise-scented pixie bobs flocking to the school fair. They hated the people they were friendliest to. I've learned more about family and old friends from rants over tea than any photo album or forgotten memory. They taught by example, because Mom loves funerals. Her philosophies on humanity's mortality could put her toe-to-toe with the Archbishop of Canterbury. She's seen enough death that it is nothing more but an old friend, you know, the kind you find in cliches about an elderly man who plays infrequent games of chess with a woman he met jogging in the park one day. And if you can visualize this cliche clearly, you'll know that it's set in autumn around Chicago or New York City. They taught me about tangents and going on tangents. You know, rambling speeches on the importance of geometry, sat in my bedroom hunched over under the shadow of a hand, poised to crack across the back of my head if I dared to answer another question on angles or algebra wrong. I often don't like telling people why I'm good at maths. But despite the crash course in class and race, there is one thing they taught me: forgiveness. That success is the best revenge, and there is a difference between repression and acceptance. I wish I told them that more often.